Hi, how are you? I hope that you're well. And today I'm going to be doing my talk about empaths. I've talked about this for quite some time, and I'm going to jump into it today and let's get started. I did do a talk on this, I think, about October. I was out wandering in the park and I just was so inspired to get on and have a chat about this. So before Christmas, I've really been looking at what an empath really means. I've been doing lots of research. I'm going to share that with you. And these are some of my findings, my ideas, and my suggestions, and why I think it's so incredibly important that we as empaths come out of the closet. So that's my thing. I want to encourage all of us empaths, and I'll talk about what an empath is, but we need to come out and stand up and own the gift of our personality and what we bring to the world. So let's start with, well, actually, before I want to jump in, it was my birthday recently, and don't you just love my flowers? I thought I'd share those with you today. And of course, Bonnie's always with me here on the other side, but I have to do a little shout out to my family for getting me these gorgeous flowers. So, like that, we just love the color, we love the energy, we love the vibration of nature and all things beautiful. So, not that other people don't, but empaths, just particularly sensitive. We are the sensitive souls on the planet. So, empaths are more than anything, sensitive to feelings and emotions. So I guess in a way, I'm an emotional empath. Some people are also physical empaths, or so I have learned on this book. I'll be sharing different books with you and what's in each of them. So this is Anita Moorjani. She's written a few books. She had a near-death experience, and that was one of her first big books. But this book, Sensitive is Now the New Strength, and I love the title. So she's written this book with lots of great ideas, hints and tips about how to determine whether you are or are not an empath, and then, how to embrace those skills that come with being an empath. And I've got another book I'll share with you. But she talks about how you can be a physical empath, an emotional empath, or like a psychic empath, whether you're very good at it with the intuitive stuff. I just thought maybe there was another one there. Anyway, great book. I'm more than halfway through that one. It's excellent. So I can recommend that one to you. I'll put well, you'll have it in the video anyway. So we absorb emotion. Well, and we're particularly sensitive then to other people's emotion. So as the other writer, so I'm going to have to jump straight in. This one, Judith Orloff. She's a medical doctor. Well, she's definitely, and she specializes in psychology. She herself is an empath, as Dr. Moorjani is. You can't write about this stuff if you don't understand it. So this is the Empath Survival Guide. So she looks probably more into the traumas. Actually, they both do. They look into the difficulties and the challenges of being that sensitive person and how to navigate your way through that and how to turn those challenges into your gifts and strengths. So two fabulous books. I've got another one on the way, and I'll be going through that, and I'll probably share that with you as well when it arrives. But there's lots and lots of stuff online, lots on Google, of course, lots of YouTube videos about it. So there's lots and lots of information there for you. The main things I want to summarize here and share with you, I guess, my experience, what's been the biggest learnings for me. And why, and also then the main thing is why I think it's so important. But to me, I've spent most of the last 20 years as a kinesiologist trying to help all of my clients and everyone who was prepared to listen about how to, I guess, in a way, fix ourselves, because so many of us have felt that we were broken. We felt different. We felt odd. We were not like lots of other people who didn't seem to be as sensitive and as nervous or overly caring, overly responsible for everyone. I mean, if you've been to see me, I've probably accused you, or not accused you, but suggested that you are a martyr because this is a major trait. It's not a very attractive trait, but well, it used to be, but because in the old days, we loved martyrs. We loved people who sacrificed themselves for others. We were encouraged to do that, particularly as mothers. So we were encouraged to give, give, give to everyone, and empaths will naturally do that. So empaths will pick up other people's emotions, often in an exaggerated state, and we add those to our own, which are we've already exaggerated. So empaths very quickly become overwhelmed. And again, why I think this is so important is that I think it's a big contributor to a lot of the mental health. I can see a very strong correlation with the increasing number of empaths coming onto the planet and the increase in mental health. And my big push that I'll do another video on this, but my big push is mental health is not a mental problem. I believe, and I think we should all consider it, that mental health is actually an emotional problem. We don't understand how to deal with all these emotions. So it particularly affects all of us empaths. So some of the challenges that I think comes with being an empath is things like the whole self-esteem thing. I know I have struggled with self-esteem most of my life, and only because so self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, we question and we doubt ourselves. And what I've learned more recently is that part of being an empath, when we feel other people's emotions, we then want to do something about it because we know inherently how bad it feels when we feel bad emotion, when we feel not good enough, when we feel sad, when we feel guilty, when we feel fear, anxiety, stress. We feel any of these things, we kind of exaggerate them compared to other people. I mean, we don't mean to exaggerate it, but compared to other people, we feel those more strongly. They are amplified within an empath. So you've got your own stuff and then you've got other people's as well. But we feel compelled to fix everyone else with the greatest respect, of course, but we want to go out and we want to help other people to feel better. So our attention goes externally. So now we're focused on helping other people, and then we beat ourselves up for feeling that we haven't done that sufficiently. If I can't make you feel better, then there's something wrong with me. Or what's wrong with me that I can't be more effective in the world and that I can't relieve other people's suffering. I've now come to understand this is all part and parcel of being an empath. Now, don't worry if you're going, oh my God, I'm pulling my hair out. There's lots of things we can do about this. And this is where I want to go to work. Okay. So if you feel not good enough, if you feel like you're a bit of a doormat for other people, if you're a people pleaser, because again, we're putting everybody else's needs first, because if I make them feel better, then maybe I'll feel better because I won't have to absorb and feel all their negative emotion. So another classic example is we will avoid conflict. We want to keep the peace at any price. So we really suppress a lot of our anger and frustration, and we do not have good boundaries. So you'll see there's a tip here about some of the things that we can do to improve our sensitivity, if you like. We don't want to dampen our sensitivity because it really is a gift, because by being an empath, you're very intuitive. So it's a wonderful skill to be able to know how another person feels. You've just got to distinguish between what's yours and what's theirs, and then have some boundaries around absorbing everything, but also learning that you are not responsible for everyone. That's my biggest takeaway. And I've done so much work for the last 12 months, not necessarily always understanding where it came from, but little by little, learning that I'm not a terrible person if I don't take on the responsibility for making everyone else feel better. Okay. So we're sensitive to other people's emotions. We're trying to help everyone else, sometimes a little bit too much. We can jump in and try to rescue other people even without being asked. And that's actually inappropriate, right? So if you're not invited to come and help, then you've got to be able to distinguish that, identify it, and draw a line in the sand there. We are also very, very sensitive to criticism and rejection. So one of the big things that I've had to learn is that I want to jump in and help other people to feel better. And I do have some very special skills in my kinesiology work in being able to do that. I know that I can help a lot of other people, but just because I can doesn't mean I should. And that's been a very tough lesson for me to learn, but I'm finally getting there, I hope. So if we jump in and try to help, we're also very, very sensitive to the rejection of our help. I know that one very well. So if you feel that you're very sensitive to criticism and the sense of feeling rejected and not considered by other people, then these are probably more signals that you are also an empath. Now, in both of these books, and lots of other self-analysis and tests, if you like, online, that will help you to identify whether or not you are an empath. So in The Sensitive is the New Strong is a whole bunch of questions. Questions, are you an empath? So are you willing to accept full responsibility for other people? Sometimes to the point, so also responsible for your actions, sometimes to the point of taking blame for something that's not even your fault. The guilt for everything that goes with being an empath is just ridiculous. That's the only way I can put it. You fear hurting other people's feelings. You fear disappointing them or letting them down because you can feel their pain, possibly even to a greater degree than they do. Oh, I've had some ridiculous situations over Christmas and before Christmas where I've had some family visiting from overseas, and they are constantly in the back of my mind going, I wonder how this one is. I wonder how that one is. Should I give her a call? Should I check in on them and make sure that they are happy? My sense of responsibility for family is ridiculous. I mean, it's probably, I'm very unfortunate that I don't live near most of my family because most of my family's back in Ireland. But again, I still think about them often, but because of the distance, I don't have to jump in and do all the rescuing. Anyway, lots and lots of questions in here. Are you an empath? And she also helps you to work out to what degree you might be an empath. In Judith Orloff's book, again, lots of great questions. Have you ever sat next to someone in pain and started to feel their pain? Do you get physically ill in crowds? Do you feel overwhelmed in crowds? I'd go so far as to say, now this doesn't affect me too much because I'm quite an extrovert. So you can still be an extrovert and be an empath. In fact, the two often go together. But if you get stressed or overwhelmed in crowds or in noisy places, because you can be very sensitive to noise, smells, any kind of sensory input. If you get fatigued very easy when you've been out in shopping malls or at the cinema, or even going shopping sometimes. I mean, they'll call this social anxiety. I actually believe that if you suffer from those kinds of conditions, you are probably a physical empath. So you feel things physically and you'll pick up things from your physical environment. Are you particularly sensitive to sugar, alcohol, or processed foods? If you've got sensitivity to food items, then that's another sign that your body is sensitive. Okay, an emotional empath. Do you pick up other people's emotions, such as anxiety, anger, and frustration? Do you get depressed or anxious in crowds? Do you want to fix other people and take away their stress? I've covered some of those. Do you care so much about others that you neglect your own needs? Yes, 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 yes. Do you experience mood swings from sugar, carbohydrates, or other foods? Um, so any one or two of these items will show that you are probably an empath. Okay. So in both of these books, they go through lots of different hints, tips, and ideas about what you want to do about that. So I might come back and do that another day, but I don't really intend to just regurgitate, if you like. I mean, I'm happy to share. If you find this useful, I am happy to share hints and tips from here. But the information is all there for you to go and suss out if you want. What I particularly want to do is just to highlight the prevalence of empaths in the world. We used to be very much in the minority, but I've done a whole lot of muscle testing, and I'll do another graph on this. I won't get into the numbers too much because this will get too long. But I've tracked over the years from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. There were only like 3 or 4% of empaths on the earth. And I've tracked through with my muscle testing. I've measured the percentage. In the 60s and 70s, it jumped up to 12 or 15% generally. But by the 1990s, we were up to 20%, 2000 up to 25%. It jumped to 10% in the 2010s. And by 2020, we were up to 46% empaths on the earth. So all of the new children coming in the world, because that's obviously how we're bumping up the numbers, are now potentially empaths. And I'll do the numbers on it later, but pretty well all the kids born, certainly from the 2000 on, have various degrees of empath. So you can see how the correlation with the increase in mental health, anxiety, stress, burnout, and depression could easily be correlated to that. Now, I have no scientific evidence for that except my own muscle testing, my intuition, my guidance, and what I'm seeing in the world. So, the other thing that I truly believe is, and you've heard me talk many times, that I know the world is shifting. We are becoming more light bodies. We are becoming more expansive. As our consciousness increases and expands, as awareness increases, and we absorb more light, we move into more of a light body than a dense body. Now, this is going to happen very slowly. This is part of our evolution. It's the evolution of humanity. We are going through it. A lot of people call it the shift. We are shifting from a 3-dimension to a 5th dimension. I've done lots of videos on that. And this is part of the consequences of doing that. We are coming more into the heart from the mind. We are moving more from a fear-based world into a love-based world. Therefore, we must learn how to process our emotions and deal with our emotions and acknowledge them and express them and process them, all the things that we have never been allowed to do. I just want to share one little picture with you, which is my favorite. Anyone who's been to see me, well, I'll show you this all the time. But this is my picture of this gradual evolution of humanity. And I just love this. Sorry about that. Phone's going. So we are somewhere along this path, but we're moving into these beautiful light bodies. We are becoming more light, more spiritual, more expanded. And as we move more into this new 5-dimensional expression of human beings, we will become more emotional on the path to becoming more spiritual. So, don't you love that? I think it's fabulous. I love it. And I'm keen to get all us empaths out of the closet because I believe that the empaths are currently reflecting the frequency of the new earth and the new energy. This is not to say empaths are better or worse than anyone else, but we have the capacity to experience emotion and to be able to, we can more easily learn how to process and express the emotions. So we can help the planet metabolize or transition, transform, and expand the flow of emotional expression. That's what it's all about. Okay. So what else did I want to say? I've got some beautiful cards that came up. One of the first, just the box of cards come up. The first thing that came up was the self-care cards. Now, quite often when they'll come up a lot for people, and sometimes I have to go and find a specific card, but more often than not, when those cards show up, they're telling me that empaths need lots of self-care. It stands to reason. So instead of jumping out and helping everyone else, we have to take care of ourselves. If we are going to be the light in the world, if we are going to be the light workers in the world, which I believe you are, and you've got to get out of the closet and own this, right? You've got to learn how to process this. Then you have to learn how to do lots of self-care. I often say to my clients, you need to consider obsessive self-care because we're not very good at it. So we got to turn that around, and we've got to come back to ourselves and do more self-care, because then you are a better light in the world yourself. Okay, so another beautiful card that came up was rebirth. So this is the rebirth. This is an opportunity for you to rebirth yourself. And in my last little video that I shared, I think last week or the week before, I talked about how, I think I mentioned that Pluto was moving into Aquarius, which you'd have to be hiding under a rock, I think, not to have heard that numerous times. And so that means we are quickly jumping into this new transition. And I think I said in that I felt that I hadn't really transitioned a lot, but I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I can't believe the transition that I have gone through in particularly even just this year. And the change in the energy, the lightness, the optimism, despite what's going on out in the world. I mean, we are probably at some of the worst times in our lives in terms of the chaos that's going on in the world. But that too, you need to know that the chaos in the world is actually the old being shaken up and almost pulled down. I've talked before in other videos about that's the tower moment where the old has to be pulled down in order for the new to come up. And that's a little bit of what this card is saying. So this is the rebirth card. Won't read it all, but I'll just read this first bit. This card indicates a time of major transition and transformation that would result in significant personal growth. So when I'm calling in all the empaths saying you must step out of the closet, you must step up and take ownership of your empath and heal it, nurture it, strengthen it, and make it your gift and your power in the world. So it says, by drawing this card, you have entered a period of spiritual awakening and rebirth, where you have the opportunity to align with your higher self and the overarching principles that guide you. This is where you surrender to the changes around you and prepared to be the best that you can be. So it's time to let your empath light shine. You are being encouraged to trust and believe that a magical future awaits. But first, you need to let go of the old in order to experience the new. Take time to reevaluate your core values and examine your life. Then eliminate any superficial foundations that don't align with your higher self and your dreams. This is a time to recognize and rise above any ego-based thoughts and behaviors, for humanity and authenticity are the keys to your success. So that's the opportunities that's waiting for any empath who's prepared to step out of the closet, as I call it. I also wanted to kind of call to arms all us empaths. We all need to come out and support one another and to work together to bring in this new frequency onto the earth. And when I say call to arms, I don't mean arms as an ammunition. We need to raise up our arms. We need to stretch out our arms. We need to put our arms around one another and not be afraid to do that. The next card came from the Psychic Tarot, beautiful oracle deck, and this one is called The Waiting Game. So this card indicates that you've worked hard to set things in motion in certain areas of your life, and you're now waiting for the results to come to fruition. The number 2 is all about choices and decisions. In the past, you may have been afraid of making decisions or choices, but now you're no longer held prisoner by the fears or the constraints of the old beliefs. So it's exactly what I was trying to say. In the past, we may have felt that we weren't good enough, that we didn't have the self-esteem or the confidence to stand in our sensitivities because we thought there was something wrong with us. We beat ourselves up and we were highly sensitive to the criticism from other people. You were probably called too sensitive, too soft, too kind, too caring, like get over yourself, harden up, toughen up. You need to, really be tough in what has been a tough world. But it's saying we have to let go of that. That is not the world that we are creating. It can be the world that you see around you, but the more that you let go of the old fears, of the old structures, and start coming together and understanding the world that we can create and bring in quickly and effectively, then we can see this new future. It says, expect the best and be open to the limitless power of your intuition, because that's what empaths are. You are intuitive, so your intuition is presently very strong. Trust it and use it to assist you. Achievement and success are assured, but once obtained, don't let it change you. Remember who you are. The effort that it took to get you to this point and the gratitude you need to show to the people who helped you. Stay on your spiritual path, for it will continue to guide you on the journey of your soul. Because I believe too that empaths are probably more intimately or intuitively aligned to the purpose of their soul and to their soul light, if you like. So it was interesting. We got another 2 card. So before I go into 2s, as it said, 2s can be about decisions, and this one's called movement, choices, and decisions. So it's time to make a choice and a decision that supports you. This is about you, not about other people. But by you being the best that you can be, if you can be the light in the world, then you will naturally help everyone around you. And that's the beautiful win-win that comes from this. But 2, and I've studied the Pillar Code, and anyone who's interested in doing the Pillar Code, I can recommend someone to you. If you have done the Pillar Code with me, you'll know that number 2 pillar is the pillar of love. And the contrast to love is fear. So again, the message with all of the 2s is that we are moving in a new direction. We are choosing love over fear. And that takes a bit of work. That isn't easy because change isn't easy. But once we have a band of confident people who are coming together and we can support one another, then we can really make this transition happen and happen quickly. Okay. So this card, movement, choices, and decisions, it says, this card indicates a time of movement. Significant changes and choices must be made. With hard work, great effort, and determination, you have the ability to juggle all the demands in front of you, whether they concern money, business decisions, or other projects. It's important to stay flexible and focused. You don't have to do it alone. Reach out for the best advice and assistance. In addition, the financial union or partnership may present itself to you. The more time you take to make these vital decisions and choices, the longer it will be before you move towards your goals in the physical material world. The changes that are emerging aren't some random acts or coincidences. They are all part of a positive and larger scheme. Notice the connections with everything, as this will enable you to avoid future problems and conflicts. So when you start seeing synchronicities, like if this video has popped up in a feed for you, or if someone sent it to you, then this is a call to arms. Let us all get together and let's reach out our hands and arms to one another and assist one another. I'm going to be doing some training. I'm going to be offering lots of support and guidance. And I've got a whole program that'll come out a little bit later on this year. But very shortly, I will be announcing some dates of some free online workshops. I will do some workshops in person. So for local Sydney people, if you want to come along, I'll have the dates for some in-person workshops. And then after that, I'll also do some online workshops because I just think this is so important. This is my passion. This is my purpose. And it's what I've always been doing. But when I really connected into this arena, it's not the right word, but this phenomenon of the empaths and how much we are increasing in this world, I know that this is my tribe. So you don't have to be an empath to come to my workshops and follow what I do. The material is here for everyone. But what I've realized, it's the empaths who will get it, who will pick it up, who will understand it, who know that they need it, and who will be able to use it and bring around the changes that we are all choosing to create and see in the world. Okay. One last card. It's actually the Nine of Wands from the Templar Tarot. So this is the Knights Templar. And I always think it's a really interesting deck. And it has very few words and very little description on what each of the cards mean. This one is about defense. What's it saying? Stop defending, I think it is. And what I had to realize is that all of the cards of the Knights Templar, they were the warriors of spirituality. So there's obviously a big difference between spirituality and religion. Religions will divide you. Spirituality will bring everyone together. That's my big summary of it. Spirituality allows you to connect directly to source with regardless of what you call God. Okay, so to me, that's the spirituality. We are warriors of bringing everyone together under the one umbrella of one God and one unity. Now, again, you don't have to be religious to be an empath. You don't have to be spiritual to be an empath, but you're probably more likely to be interested in that sort of stuff. One of the things that I've picked up is that you'll see a lot of the young kids and a lot of you out there who know that you're empaths will be drawn to crystals and essences and natural healing and to nature and all of those kind of things. If you're really drawn to those things, then once again, you'll probably, there are more signals that you are an empath. But this one said, stop defending. So that said to me too, that we as empaths have had to protect ourselves and defend ourselves from the hostility and harshness of the world, protect ourselves from our sensitivity to rejection and criticism. I think I've said that too many times. Anyway, you'll know what I mean. So I'm going to draw it to a close there. I hope this has been useful. Please share it around. Please like and give me a thumbs up. I really, really, really want to get this message out there. I really passionately want to make a difference to the mental health crisis in this world. I really desperately want to help all the young people coming up because they need all of our support. We must build up our emotional intelligence and we need to be able to guide and support our young people. So if you're interested in any of that, please keep checking in. Please do a like and a share and a comment or any of those things. And it'll really, really help me to help you and to help you and your family. So God bless for now. Check in again soon and take good care. Bye.